Welcome back, YouTubers, to another TNA Impact Wrestling review with us, the British Fist.
Good.
Indeed, I am Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me, he's NJ.
What's up?
Mark out moment there for me personally. Subscribe up above, like this video, and get your thoughts on this edition of TNA Impact Wrestling down in that comment section below.
Make sure you contact us in the link in the description box below.
Right, we have an interesting show this week, so we've got a lot to get through. I'll start by saying this: the crowd was a lot better than this taping, wasn't they? We could actually hear some crowd noise. Why couldn't they have done this at the freaking pay-per-view?
Out of a TV show and the pay-per-view, you do expect them to be louder at a pay-per-view, because obviously that's where everything's building up to, but
yeah,
sadly we got it tonight instead.
Yes, but we opened up this week with something rather strange. We opened up with a 5-minute overtime match from Final Resolution between AJ Styles versus Bobby Roode. Now, we could look at this two ways. Let's look at the positive first, NJ. It was a good way to open the show. I mean, I never expected this to happen. So in any way, it was a nice, different way to open the show. It was surprising, to say the least. Although, I will say this. If they were going to do this kind of thing, why don't they just have Roode pin AJ clean at the pay-per-view?
Well, the way I look at it, this could easily have gone... They did actually overtime on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. They
could have had this build up to Genesis and just took it then. But they had it on the following night. And this match, the way it ended, it made me think, why couldn't you have just done this at the pay-per-view? Yeah. But well,
like I said, I think it was a good way to start the show. It's kind of a continuance from the pay-per-view, I guess. But I just want to say this, TNA. This is the reason why people don't buy your pay-per-views. You know, this is the reason why you only get 10,000 buys, because people see this on their free TV and think, why should I even bother buying the pay-per-view? But on the other hand, the crowd are really into the match. You have Roode trying to run down the time and go after AJ's bad leg. It ends in a draw. And then we get another 5 minutes from Sting.
The thing is, we've got 5 minutes, but they don't even need 5 minutes. They need about a few minutes. I'm just thinking, those few minutes you just spent there, you could have done that just in those 5 minutes you had to begin with. Why add on the next few minutes?
I don't know. Bobby Roode beats AJ with the Boston Crab. The crowd really wanted 5 more minutes as well. This is the most active I've seen the crowd for a while in the Impact Zone.
It was, but again, I just don't... The opener was interesting, but I just thought it was a waste.
Yeah, well, I mean, personally, I enjoyed the opening, even though I don't like the implication of the opening. I just feel they could have had, if they were going to end the AJ thing, which I'm guessing they're trying to do here so they can build Roode and Hardy, I just can't help but feel they should have ended it at the pay-per-view to give the reason for people to buy the pay-per-view. So I guess that's kind of over now. They have post-match interviews as well, which was nice. It added something to the segment. We have Roode talking about getting the job done, and AJ Styles talking about being this close. I imagine this is ending now.
It should come to an end now, especially we've got this Jeff Hardy being the new number contender, so it should be ended now.
So, an interesting opener, to say the least. So we had another sort of interesting thing happen tonight. We had a wild card tag team tournament done. Now, even though TNA didn't really announce this properly and really tell us what it was about, from what we've read on the internet, this is going to take place over the next 2 weeks or something to decide a number one contender, and they're going to put together random tag teams. You know, thoughts on this first, NJ? I feel it makes the tag teams like an essential part of the show. It just gives us something to look forward to. Early hype for the pay-per-view.
The keyword is wild, because these tag teams have just been thrown together. It's not fusion tag teams. Oh, TNA doesn't have much tag teams to do it in. But I would have just had normal tag teams going in a contendership instead of having these weird tag teams pairing up. As you get to see later, we'll discuss who's against who.
I think the problem is now you've got Jesse Neal leaving the company, which means Ink isn't there. I think they've got rid of Anarchia as well, which means Mexican America aren't there. So you have a real lack of tag teams. So you know what? It's something different for TNA, I guess. They're putting random guys together. You could say on one hand, yeah, it's a little bit random, and it is. But at the same time, you know, it's something just different and interesting. And I think WWE could do something like this with their roster, personally.
It would be interesting, but just like maybe they announced it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
maybe I would have understood this better and liked better. But the fact that they're just dumping two wrestlers together to make a tag team, just kind of thinking.
You know, I was actually looking forward to what was going to happen next. Now, just putting it on the website though isn't good enough. TNA, you need to really hype it up. The first match we got here was Rob Terry and Hernandez versus the team of Steiner and Abyss. Wow, we had nice backstage interviews with Steiner going, we're on the same team! We're friends! Even though I think this whole thing is really being done to really hype up an Abyss and Steiner feud, possibly, which was a little bit of a letdown. But the tag match, at least we got 2 tag matches tonight. So that means the tag teams were kind of a focus of the TV show, which was nice to see.
Well, when I look at this, again, I don't know, it just made me think that pairing up these odd tag teams, like Rob Terry and Hernandez, it's just made me think, why, if they had more of a tag team growth in the TNA, I would like it better. But having these two, Yes, it's going to lead to Steiner versus Abyss eventually,
Yep.
but it's just made me think, how well are they going to pair up for now?
I'm sorry, I just can't help but feel, I actually really kind of like this sort of thing. You had Rob, Terry, and Hernandez working together. They worked together okay. It wasn't the best of tag matches. You had Abyss come in and dominate, and all of a sudden he tags Abyss and lets him get the pin. It's kind of like, okay, I know where this is leading. Abyss is going to turn on Steiner or something like that later on down the line.
Well, that's what I expected. Like, you have the whole Crimson and Morgan teaming up and eventually going to break down. So why not do it again to another tag team that have a possible feud in the future? So that's a good idea. So
it's furthering along storyline, I guess, and giving us some kind of hype for the tag team title match at Genesis. So it's a nice way to start it off, I guess. Kurt Angle then comes out for a promo segment, and he calls out Sting, and he wants a rematch of Storm. Sting comes out and says that Storm's beat Angle, he's going to move on to Bobby Roode, but Angle says he'll go to Storm's hometown to get his rematch. It was a very short segment, wasn't it? It was kind of short to the point, I guess.
Yes, Sting comes out in his leather jacket, looking all smart, the part, and he comes out to Angle, and he really, Angle really yells at Sting once in this match. It's really important to him. And I'm kind of glad that they're going to try and make the whole Storm and Angle thing go on for a bit longer, so they can build up towards a Storm and Roode rivalry in the future. Yeah, exactly. I would like to see Angle and Storm again, maybe in some kind of stipulation match with Storm going over again. So I would be happy seeing this. I hope the rematch happens. So I guess an effective segment to kind of start this off. It was short and to the point. I'll give it that. Even though we did want maybe Angle to win at the pay-per-view to make this follow-on, but the way they've done this, I'm happy with it now. They've sorted it out. We then have another sort of interesting concept here. We have Anthony Nese versus Zema Ion in the first match of a best-of-3 series, which I assume is going to lead to a #1 contendership to Austin Aries' X Division title at Genesis. Anthony Nese and Zema Ion. Even though this wasn't announced properly, at least it's something that we can get over these coming weeks that can hype for the pay-per-view. And I do like the fact that they're showcasing some of the talent that they've signed finally. Because so far we haven't seen many of them. They're showing Anthony Nese and Zema Ion. It's nice they're showing their younger talent now. I think, to be honest, I was going to say, going into this match, I don't care who it's, I don't really know, I'm not behind them. So the fact that TNA are maybe going to concentrate on now is going to get me interested, it's going to get me to maybe get behind them more. So I think with this match, it was something different, something that TNA need to start working on, so there we go. And even though Anthony Nese got no entrance, which was stupid, especially if you want to showcase this guy for the first time, at least it was a decent X Division match. It got, 4 minutes? It probably should have got more time, but I was happy because we had so many matches on the card tonight, and I was pretty happy with that. Zema Ion wins. The segment, in my opinion, should have got a little bit more emphasis, but we got an interview segment with Zema Ion afterwards talking about how pretty he is. Yeah, Ion's got this cocky character, because in the ring, he doesn't go straight for the 3 count, he keeps bringing out the pinfall, gets with the 450 splash, nice finish. I quite liked it, even though it's short, I liked it. I'm looking forward to the next 2 matches. It's something that we can look forward to each week now, something we can, TNA can hype towards, which is good, and that gives hype for the pay-per-view. So I'm pretty happy with this. If they keep working on this now, keep working on maybe Ion's character, I think it'll be something interesting to watch out for. Next we have Gunner versus Jesse Neal. We know that Jesse Neal is leaving TNA. We saw it in the news. And it seems like TNA are kind of trying to put more of an emphasis on Gunner. They've got him with Ric Flair now. This kind of had the enhancement match feel. You kind of knew how this was going to end because Jesse Neal is leaving. I don't mind this whole concentration on Gunner, but they've just had him job to Garrett Bischoff. I like they're trying to do it, and they did it well in this match, but they just had him job to Garrett Bischoff like 2 or 3 times. Well, they jobbed him to Garrett Bischoff, but they are still working on his strong gimmick. Yeah. Obviously, he does the whole finisher onto the pile driver concrete. The DDT. Sorry, that was interesting. Yeah, obviously they keep working on his heel character, which is good. We got a DQ finish, like Andrew said. Gunner DDT's Jesse Neal on the concrete, and they worked this injury angle. I guess it's a way of getting him off TV while also trying to make Gunner look strong. So it had that enhancement match feel, and it did do something for Gunner. But it's just the shame. It's just a shame about his history, really, isn't it? I'm not sure how long it's going to last, this Gunner thing, because maybe they've got ideas for other wrestlers. But if Gunner's going to continue being a strong heel or heel against these other wrestlers, then I say go for it. Gives him something to do. Our main event, Jeff Hardy comes out for a promo segment. He comes out talking about being the #1 contender for Genesis, and then we get Bully Ray coming out saying that Hardy will have to face him in the main event, and that how he took his spot, and he's going to prove that he's better than Hardy tonight. He's not a stepping stone. He's a freight train. Yeah, it's very interesting. I love Bully Ray on mic. He got in Jeff's face, said that he's going to be winning. Said that you don't even know who your opponent is because you're just happy about being the contender. I think it added up quite nicely to their match. Yeah, and it gave us a main event. And also, the only thing I feel here is
This should have been a feud for Hardy, in my opinion. This would have been a great feud for Hardy on his road to redemption before he was #1 contender. I really don't like the fact they're bringing it in now, but I like the fact that they're at least using Bully Ray as that kind of stepping stone in a way for Jeff Hardy.
Well, the way I would have done it, yes, Jeff Hardy and Bully Ray had this thing against each other before in WWE. They could have used it before he got his #1 contendership to build up the character more. The fact they're doing it now, Bully Ray is definitely a good guy. Stop how cocky he is, a strong heel. He's already quite high in TNA's roster. He's going to help Jeff Hardy push him to the top, so it's nicely done there.
We have Samoa Joe and Magnus versus Doug Williams and Robbie E in our next tag team wildcard match. Magnus and Doug Williams on opposite teams. I really kind of wanted to see the British Invasion together. Interesting combination of Samoa Joe and Magnus. But I kind of want to see British Invasion. It kind of annoys me that this is the only way they can get British Invasion on TV, not as a tag team together.
Well, that's your problem. My problem is Robbie E. He's our TV champion, and he's in this match. I think it really sucks they're using him here.
They had a nice backstage segment with Magnus and Joe talking about they're both trying to get an opportunity, and they don't really care how. And this is kind of realistic because you've had Magnus who's been kind of buried lately and not been on TV, and Samoa Joe hasn't had a push. So this is kind of based off something real. The match was decent. It went about 4 minutes. Another match on Impact, which was good. Samoa Joe made Robbie E look like a dick. Sorry.
I think, to be honest, Robbie E needs this because obviously he's a TV champ, not the best one they could have used. And now he's going into this match, possibly for the tag champs. To be honest, I'm glad that he lost. I'm glad.
Samoa Joe and Magnus win, and they go on to, I'm guessing, some sort of final match. Interesting pairing. There we go. Another interesting pairing was ODB versus OBD and Eric Young. We found out they're going to have a match next week as tag partners. Oh, God. Then we get Devon coming out for a promo, talking about Pope. And Pope comes out with Devon's kids and talks about how he's being more of a father figure to them and how he should, Devon says that the kids should come home with him. My question is, do we really care about the kids, really?
No, the way I've said this before, again, Pope's thinking that he's going to give them the better life than Devon did.
Yeah.
And then he goes on being this strong heel character. And to be honest, I think this is all building up to a kids probably coming a tag team in TNA in the future. But this whole segment, yes, they have done a feud going, because obviously we need feuds going in TNA. But this one, I don't know.
I thought the mic work in this segment was pretty good. It's just that I don't like the premise of it. The kids. Pope talks about the kids wanting a dad who's with the times and who doesn't, and they want to like live the life and everything. So I'm kind of getting the feeling now that Pope is now heel, which I don't want to see. We get Devon attacking Pope, and then Pope logoing Devon, and all of the kids and all that stand over Devon. Like, it's a feud, I guess. It gets Pope on TV, which I'm glad about.
It's added more to the feud that's been building up the last couple of weeks, and I'm thinking it's going to build up to a possible match at the pay-per-view, probably, and just end it there. Yeah,
well done segment. It's just that we don't like the premise too much. That's all. It's got Vince Russo written all over it, this has. Madison Rayne versus Tracy Brooks. Again, Tracy starts the match by attacking Madison Rayne on the ramp. It was an interesting way to start the match. We had the whole neck injury, works to Madison Rayne's advantage, and she gets the win. Went about 4 minutes.
Yeah, to be honest, Madison Rayne is a proper knockout. Yeah. Tracy Brooks, I think she's trying to work her way into it, but the right diva win.
Knockout, yeah, I think the right knockout one as well. Yeah. I was a little bit disappointed I didn't see Gail Kim or Mickie James, but I guess now she's gone away from Karen, it's kind of like, okay, get her on TV. I don't know. It seems a little bit pointless to me in all honesty.
It does, does it?
All it does is make Madison Rayne look strong. We don't want that happening on the show. Right, throughout the night, because this was the night where we were supposed to get a firing of either Jeff Jarrett or Karen Jarrett. Throughout the night, we had these lengthy segments, which was annoying. When they try and both kiss up to Sting and they both try and get each other fired. Oh, a real married couple engine.
That's true love. True love.
And then just before the main event, I'm surprised this wasn't the main event. We have a segment with Karen Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett, and Sting's revealing that they're both lying, and then he fires them both, and I'm like, finally! The Jarretts are off TV, and this time can go to young talents who might deserve it.
Well, the way we look at it now is that Jeff Jarrett's got some other business going on. Karen Jarrett, I'm glad she's out the knockouts. The knockouts can go back to normal now. So this segment is very effective. Very effective.
Yes, Future Impact should be so much more tolerable without Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett on our screen, shouldn't they?
But our big problem was this could be done at the pay-per-view. Could have fired them both then and moved on. But again, it's added something to this TNA. That's what I can say.
It definitely should have been done at the pay-per-view. And again, it's another reason why people probably won't buy TNA pay-per-views, because they know they're going to see the firing on free TV. A good segment in the fact that when it went on long, it fired two people we don't really want to see on TV.
The length was a bit long, but it got to its point eventually, and they're both gone now. Goodbye.
And you'd expect that to be the main event, but it wasn't. Jeff Jarrett and Jarrett Fine wasn't the main event tonight. The main event was Jeff Hardy versus Bully Ray. And to begin this match, we had Roode on commentary, which is interesting, wasn't it? We had the whole Roode and Jeff sort of thing there.
We did indeed. And I'm thinking this match, because of time was running out here, so this had to be a shortish match to not go overtime too much.
It went about 5 minutes, and TNA did do a 7-8 minute overrun, so it didn't really get enough time. It did seem like they kind of rushed what should have been a 10-minute match into about 5 minutes, but it's still a decent match with Bully Ray playing the good heel. There wasn't really too much about the match though. It's the post match, which was the whole point, wasn't it? After the match, you had Bully Ray and Roode attacking Jeff Hardy and putting Jeff Hardy for a table, and then you have Sting coming down to the ring, and Roode and Bully Ray attack Sting, who runs the show, by the way, boys. He's your boss.
So all I can say is there's something expecting to happen next week. I could possibly see a tag match if they bring AJ back into this. But again, they've attacked Sting, so what happens next, we'll have to find out.
So it's a good main event in the sense that you're putting a lot of emphasis on Roode's heel character, and it's hyping up that it's starting the hype with that Jeff Hardy Bobby Roode match at Genesis. So it accomplished a lot in this segment, I felt, even though it was very short.
It's very effective, but again, I think they should have spaced the show a bit more better so it all fits nicely. Gave this much more length, but that's just me picking on something that I think could have been done better.
Yes, and there was a lot of that tonight. The show itself, in my opinion, as we go on to overall thoughts, the show itself had a lot happening, didn't it? We had a lot going on this show. I think we had about 7 matches as well, which was pretty good to see. TNA, a lot of matches there on TNA. We had the whole tag team thing, getting the tag teams on TV, getting some people on TV which you want to see, like Magnus. The best of 3 X Division thing I'm looking forward to. There were some other good segments tonight. The main event was decent. We opened up well, even though, that's really not... It has its implications, but at least the show opened up well, finished well, and had some good pay-per-view, good early Genesis pay-per-view hype in between.
That's very true. The way I see it, we had an opener that finished, hopefully, Roode and AJ off. The rest of the show, I like the more contenders, so seeing all this was a positive for me. Yep. The whole building up to the 2 firings was awesome, nicely done. Then we had the main event that was rushed a bit, but I can't complain. I got to see Bully Ray wrestle in a main event.
So early hype for Genesis was good. The show itself, the crowd were into it. Even though, like I said, there was a lot happening. The show felt interesting that you had loads of stuff that they could hype up to in the future weeks with the sort of tag team X Division stuff. There was all sorts going on there. So it was an interesting show to say the least, especially after Final Resolution.
It was I think it got exactly what it needed to after the pay-per-view, follow-on stuff, new stuff coming for the next pay-per-view. I thought it was effective.
What would you grade this show?
Probably C+.
I really did enjoy the show. I'm not joking. I thought some of the concepts that TNA are using are very good. They're very refreshing. I enjoyed the opener, even though it shouldn't really have been on the TV show. So that's a bit of a downfall. The main event was good. Like I said, I did enjoy the way they did the show with the concepts and stuff. So I'm going to give this show a B, maybe B- if I'm being really critical, to be honest.
That's funny.
So that's right. You've heard the opinions of the British Fist, Mr. Parkin, and NJ.
What's up?
On this edition of TNA Impact, and give us your thoughts on this TNA Impact Wrestling edition down in that comment section below. And now it's time for, our main event.
What I'd say, people, is you're fired! And that's been it from the British Fist, Mr. Parkin, and me, NJ. Thank you very much, and goodbye.